Okay.
There you go.
So, yep, we've got, I guess let's start from the shopping cart. So we set up this SOS Leadership shopping cart, and we have the ability now to add a profile over in the corner for the product pages. So I didn't get time to come in and put that in there, but we can have a little bio for the speaker, the coach over here in the corner that can talk a little bit about them alongside our products that we're going to add to the cart, and then obviously they could add their own. So on your cart, you've got two different carts. You've got your coaching packages, and then you've got your life coach. This coaching packages is really what you would be working on selling. That's this package that we had set up originally, and it's that, I don't know why it's that, I think that's supposed to be per year, but there's the package, and it gives them the ability to have their own shopping cart with our products, and then they can determine the price that they want to charge their membership. And then, as we had listed out here, that they get they pay a 5% service fee after the first 90 days for anybody that they add up onto the system. All of that stuff is customizable. We can negotiate, but basically this is where you would be sending people to say, here's what we're offering and here's what it looks like. If they're not quite ready to pull the trigger, we had set up this Smart Coach trainee trial, and I don't think we ever got to the point where we added much to this page clearly, but this is a course that just talks about the product. So it's almost like a self-contained demo of the system. And so they can purchase this product, it's free, and they can see what the account looks like for and would look like for their customers. And it's really just a trial. So then the other section of the products is the life coach. And this is what we would be setting up for the coaches. It would have these three products in day one, and then we've talked about adding a few more courses, and then obviously they'd be able to add up their own products as well. So each one of these products, they would have some control over the price range. I think we've established kind of a $300 minimum and $500 maximum as our MSRP. And maybe we need to fine tune that and just say, here's what you're able to charge for these products. But then we provide all of this. This is going to be set up with our standard template. If they want a little bit of a unique flair for this description or anything, that's really easy to do. They would just provide us that, and they've got some room to customize any of this upfront stuff. The courses themselves are not going to be customized just because that would create too much of a headache. We've got their logo here, and then we'd also be able to add in their logo on the sign-in screen and include it up in the top left corner once they log in. That's as far as the branding goes that we really want to do. But once they actually start the courses themselves, we've kept all logos and brands off of it just so that this is what everybody is going to be able to get. So once they purchase the package, it's set up with escalations and timers so that they get the courses sequentially.
Okay.
And so they have to complete each thing in order. And so, for example, you got your Achieving Healthy Lifestyle one. Your account's been set up for a while, so everything's just timed into it right now, but they wouldn't see all of this day one. They would see just this first one, and then each day after, it would start popping in these additional courses, which is the little audio segment, and then they'd go to the second step, and in the days after that, it would pull in. So all of that stuff is automated, and the coach really won't have to worry about that. They're buying a package that is going to engage their learner on basically a daily basis for the next 4 to 5 weeks. And the coach doesn't have to worry about anything other than maybe occasionally logging in and seeing what they accomplished. They can look at either what's available or on the completed tab and say, okay, here's when things have been completed, and they get a good review of that. We can create some custom reports where maybe on a daily or weekly basis, they would get a summary report that would give each one of their clients that they've got signed up and how many courses they've completed, how much time they've spent on the system, things like that.
Okay.
We do have the ability to customize certificates. So if they want to add a custom certificate for any of the courses, that's really easy to do. So that would probably be one of those selling points for these coaches so that they can get their own look and feel for it. And these certificate pages are pretty nice because you can share them out through social media, add to LinkedIn, or just email the certificate to somebody else so that you can kind of have them promote the system themselves. And like I said, they'd be able to customize the look and feel and even some of the wording. And then obviously the course and some of those other things would just automatically pop in. Okay, so as you probably remember, our system automatically saves the position that it was in. So if they get partway into a course, then it's going to bring them right back to where they left off. So here's one of the courses that you guys had updated. And so if it's got narration or any kind of video or anything like that, then it's automatically going to advance through the course. We recently added the ability to have different play speeds so that if they want to listen just a little bit faster, they can do that, get through the course just a little bit quicker. But they're not able to advance past where they have previously gotten to. If they want to go back and review something, they're able to do that. But going forward, you have to get to the section before you can kind of skip around.
Okay.
So if we jump over here to the end and get to the end of that slide, there's about a 2-second delay, and then it goes to the next page and automatically starts.
Right. Okay. Good.
And then once we exit out of there and come back in, it's going to bring us back to the beginning of the page that we left off on. So if they're in the middle of a quiz, they will be restarted at the beginning of the quiz. So there is that little limitation, but that's the only time you might lose a little bit of progress is if you're in the middle of a quiz. And typically those are pretty short on our system, somewhere between 5 to 10 questions. So it's not too big of a deal.
Okay.
Once they complete it, it will automatically go over to the completed side and kind of fall off. We do have the ability now to add things into a syllabus. And so it would kind of group them together so that if they have maybe 2 or 3 of the different packages, it would kind of lump them together if they end up with several that are needing to be completed at the same time. That's been completed since we last touched this. So I'll probably be going in and updating that so that things will lump together.
Okay.
And then their users, so the way that we have it set up is that the licenses are per user. So if they buy the brand new U, they get access for one person to go through it. But they can add technically as many people as they want, just only one person is going to be able to go through that course. If somebody else tries to go through it, then it's going to say you need to purchase additional licenses. So there's not any kind of way to game the system through that, but just making you aware. So if an organization buys it and they, let's say, buy 10 licenses, and let's say they have 15 employees, the first 10 people who start any one of the lessons from that course will automatically take the available license. And so after the first 10 people, then the next 5 are going to get a message, you need to purchase additional licenses. And so from an organization standpoint, they may want to say, okay, well, I want to get 5 of each of these and make them available. And once they are used up, then we'll look at purchasing additional licenses. That's fine to do. The way that the license works is that they get access to it for 1 year from the date of purchase.
Okay.
And then the certificates are typically, this isn't compliance, but our standard is just that if the certificate itself lasts for 1 year as well from the date that the course was completed. So if you buy it and wait a year and then complete it right before it expires, the certificate would last a year from the date it was completed. We recently added another feature, and it's not turned on for your account, so that if the organization buys several of those licenses and they don't want to assign them out, they want them to be able to access it and then self-select what they want to go through, then there'll be another tab instead of this available. I think it's called self-enroll, and they click on that and they see the courses that they want to take and they just start it. And so once they've started it, then it will move over to their available going forward. So it's really a pretty easy process for the company to be able to purchase whatever they'd like to be able to purchase, add in their own content, make it all available, and then people are either able to self-enroll, or if they feel like somebody really needs to take it, they're able to go into the assignment and say, okay, for this specific user, we're going to say Billy, we're going to assign these courses to him. And then they can go through it and say, this is now your project. And really, if we do the syllabus, it'll be even a little bit easier. Instead of having to identify a number of the courses, they would go in, I don't have many set up, but it would be a single button click. I want the, let's say, the brand new U syllabus assigned to Billy. And so it's really easy, just one click and everything is going to be set up for them. Okay. Like I said, we're going to have some custom reports that they'll be able to run or the organization or the coach, both would be able to run it and get different data points that they'd like to be able to get. And we're able to customize any of that really easily. So if they say, well, I want it this slightly different format, or I want to drop that column or this column, we're able to do all that customization. I'll show you just a basic completed report. We're going to say just anything that's been completed. Okay, so for example, in this account, you've completed this course. It was finished on 9/24/2020. It would expire 9/24/2022. And here's your score. Here's what's the required score. You get all that information. And then let's say, okay, well, I don't care when it expires. I don't have an employee location or department. We drop those locations and it shrinks it down. And then this would be able to be exported as a spreadsheet, or you can export it as a PDF document.
Okay.
And I think those are the major items. Jim, was there anything major that I missed?
No, I don't think so, Josh. The customization on the individual items might bear a little discussion. You know, when we had originally created those years ago, we'd set price points, et cetera, that just may not be applicable now.
Yeah. And you're talking about the products themselves?
Correct.
Yep. So we're really open to negotiation on this point of the pricing, especially for these packages. If $495 is not the correct price, if it needs to be $295 or $195, we are more anxious to start getting this sold than the specific price it's sold at. Obviously, we want to all make some money during this, but we're looking for quantity over quality for the price point. So if you start talking to some people and see that this just needs to be adjusted, let us know and we will make that happen. We do have Also the ability to charge a different price if they pay for the full price up front, as you can see here. So keep that in mind as you're discussing this with people. And if you work out a deal with somebody, we're more than likely not going to have any problems honoring whatever you need to negotiate, especially for these first 10. Anything other than getting a loss for it, we'll accept, because we just need to get these first ones going. And then we'll be able to fine tune the process based on the feedback that we get from those first 10.
Okay.
So what questions do you have, Bill?
This was good refresher because I hadn't really looked around in a while. So the adjustment, changing those price points, that's something that we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we as in you and I, or the end coach that's selling them?
Probably both. I know you can, and
Mm-hmm.
can they?
Yes, I can.
For the courses themselves.
Yes, you probably would be able to get access to that. I probably won't give them access to just pick it themselves. I mean, set the price themselves. They can tell me the price, and that's what, while we're setting up their cart.
And you set it up that way.
Yes, exactly. So from a system standpoint, it's as easy as coming in here, and let's look at friend, new you. And then we come over here to options, and then I type in a different price here. And so this one, we only did the annual price. If we wanted to do monthly, then we'd say, okay, well, there's 12 payments allowed, and it's $50 per month. And maybe you want to say, okay, it's $50 for the first year, and then if you renew, it's $40 or even $25 for the subsequent years. And so that you get people going through the course for a longer period of time. And then you select what is the default payment option, and we're good to go there. And then we're able to set up special discounts that would be able to be used for a period of time or a specific number of uses or anything like that.
Okay.
Look at this. You can say, okay, well, this is 100% discount, but for testing. But if you want to set up a 25% discount and it has 10 uses to begin with, you'd be able to do that and create that sense of urgency of, oh, well, I've got to do this before somebody else gets my seat for the discounted price.
Okay.
And it can be a percentage discount or a dollar figure discount, either one.
Okay. Okay.
And you can also make it so that it only applies for new clients. So if this goes out to a big mailing list and people who have already been a client, maybe this isn't for them, you can set that up. And then this is where they would put in that discount code, or once they add it to their cart and go to their cart, they can add the discount code here.
But I think the key point, Josh, is just to mention that all of that is readily editable. We can do it within 30 minutes for virtually any change that we want to make.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
for the most part, other than special things, that's a decision they'd make more upfront anyway.
Correct.
Yeah, so setting up initially, that's a little bit of upfront work, and that might take a day or two for getting their shopping cart set up with the products added and the price points that we discussed together set on those products. Like I said, if they want to customize any of the wording, we can customize that day one or after it's been going for a little while. All of that stuff is relatively easy to change on an ongoing basis. We just drop it in here, and we add a little bit of coding for the HTML coding part of it, and it's good to go. And then I think that's pretty much it from a product standpoint. So
in the has surveys at the end. How are the or the little quiz test kind of thing? How about completion of some kind of worksheets or something else? Is that kind of folded in? That's in as part of what's a survey? So it asks questions, but does it have the ability to complete questions, answers to questions that come back to the coach?
Yeah, so we have surveys embedded in these training courses. That's why you don't see them down here. So this brand new U has these 4 courses, and inside these 4 courses is a survey set that asks specific questions that would be in the workbook for that course normally. And once they complete that survey set, it generates the document or the workbook as a completed document. And so then they would be dropped in here, and the coach would be able to come into their account and pull it up and review it and see what answers they gave for each of one of those questions. Yeah, this was a demo account, so I'm not sure which ones were from ours versus what Billy was kind of testing with. So let's see if we could see one that has some data in it. Yeah, so for example, here's what.
Okay, so it does have that. Okay, that's what that was what I wasn't remembering. So, and that'll be very similar to that. Okay, so you can actually fill those answers in, and then the coach would have access to that if they had that set, because that's going to be the thing, because most people are not going to use it as consumable training content. They're going to use it for some kind of interaction. As where that does the training, it gives them the feedback, and then it's going to be these responses that are going to be part of the discussion, or even if somebody's doing it on their own. Okay, so I now that I see that, I remember that now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the person that's completing it obviously would have access to come in here and review their completed workbook, print it out. Or maybe the coach makes that part of what they bring to the table, is that they compile all of these sheets and then schedules a 30-minute call to go over the answers and work with them based on the answers received. And so we can get that all set up, or that is all set up. And then if there's some special notifications that the coach would want to get, for example, anytime somebody completes one of these workbooks, automatically send me a notification with this information so that I am aware of it and I don't have to go in and dig it out of the system. So that's really that's where the rubber meets the road for these coaches, is with getting the system to do the things that anybody could do, the basic training portion, gathering the data, and then the coach is able to take that information and then have a more effective coaching session with them, because they've been introduced to the concept, they've answered some questions, the coach has reviewed those questions, and then can address any specific deficiencies.
Okay, good.
That's kind of the flow that we envisioned with this process, so that the coach is really multiplying his time, because probably, I don't know, 70% of what they do is just kind of the same for everybody. And that's what we try to put onto the system. The 30% that is very highly customized, we want to give them all the information that they need to do that effectively, and then they can multiply their efforts, and instead of having 50 clients, they could have 500 clients.
Okay, so you have the shopping cart there. So when they send one of their clients here, have them sign up for the course or give them access, they're going to add that to the cart. They're going to pay so the client can actually pay when it gets added to the cart. And then how does the coach get paid? That comes out. How does that payment transfer to them?
Yeah, great question. So we're doing all the payment processing, and then we send the collected payment to them. Our typical contract is within 30 days. So they would get a check every 30 days. If that doesn't fit the coach's normal schedule, we could probably do twice a month and run that report and send that out twice a month.
Okay. Can that direct deposit, or does it have to be a check?
I think we could do either.
Okay.
I'll have to confirm that. Let me write a quick note.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking because that was something somebody asked me.
Yeah.
So it's okay. So that part is good, and that's then so it's that the amount that they've set up, and your fee for that is 5%.
Mhm.
That's really the handling fee and the cost of uh, the credit card payment, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
So almost half of that is just the typical credit card processing fee. It's usually somewhere between 1 to 3%. And then the rest of that is the hosting fee as well as the support, because typically if they reach out to support, it's going to be our support, not them.
Not that, yeah, right. Okay.
Yep. And so we handle any system troubleshooting for them. Obviously, if they have questions about the courses themselves, depending on what that question is, we'll probably lead that back to the coach. But if they're having trouble launching the course or getting access to the account or anything like that, that is part of what that 5% is covering. And then obviously we're making that money up front with the development package so that we have something to help us to grow our business. And that's what you and I will be splitting.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the big hit. Other than that, you get enough people with enough things, you make a little bit, but it's going to be about the. Okay. Very good.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, that sounds good. Um, so when somebody it's set up and somebody is taking the course, they have access to it. They have access to that for a year. So if they have a company client, they have five licenses or whatever, five courses that they bought. That could go into that new available whatever you call that tab. I wrote that down. That
the licenses.
it's going to move. If they had them, it would be in available. That would be each person set up in available. If not, they could just be set up in that self.
Yes, self-enroll.
And
yeah, and I'll get that set up for your account so that you can see that as well. Let me switch that. So,
But I think the point to make, Josh, is that basically the coach, if the coach wanted to pay our upfront fee and work his own deal with his own participants, the participants could log in and basically use what that coach has licensed, and have the coach collect the money. It's only when we handle the money that the delay and the deposit to the bank account become involved.
Jim, are you saying so the coach really should be using this system?
Correct.
Because if they don't use this system, then we have trouble giving them access, because everything gets created and triggered once they add it to their cart and create their account and purchase. And so they can set this price to whatever they'd like within our guidelines, and then that money is going to be collected and sent over. Now, if they add their own products, they can do that, and it would still be that same 5% fee on it. And then obviously they'd be able to set whatever price they want for their own items in this cart. For example, they might add in consulting hours, and they might have a base block of 5 hours and then another $100 for every hour after that. They can have us handle all that processing. It's just 5% of whatever is collected, and then the rest of it gets passed along to the coach.
Right.
yeah, whether they're collecting the money themselves or not, if they're taking credit card payments, they're paying probably most of them at their level of volume. They're probably paying 2.5 at least, 2.5% at least anyway. That's because their volumes for the most part not high enough to be in that 1 or even 2. They're usually 2. If they get 2.5, they're usually pretty happy. So it's so then the rest is just more of the servicing fee to be able to handle all the others. So yeah, so I'm okay with when I first looked at this back when we were first talking. I thought more about it, them having way more way more freedom to collect the money on their own. But it's kind of grown on me that I like the process of everything just being in the cart and set that way and handle the transactions. A little less confusing. They're really just having that fee. But you're saying that they could actually add as a package. They could add a 5 hour consulting package that they'd have 5 1-hour sessions and they even put that in there.
Yeah, I mean, we can have this cart can be used for anything. So if they want to centralize all of their products, they could have everything go through here. Now, obviously, that's going to be the 5% of whatever's collected, and some of the things may not be worth moving over to this, but it's a simple process to add another product into this. And then while they're checking out, you can customize what related products are being shown down here. So from a marketing and sales standpoint, it really streamlines the whole process if it's all within the same cart. And we could certainly make a deal if they're reaching a high enough volume that we could pay them even quicker, as quick as on a weekly basis, if they're at the volume where that really makes sense to do.
Okay. All right. Well, that's helpful. Yeah, this came back. It's even kind of simpler than I remembered for the most part. Maybe it's because I've been through before now, and it's not so overwhelming. But even the adding, when Chris added some of these things just to get comfortable with the adding in, and it was once he got in the groove of that, it was really pretty simple. So that part wasn't hard. Okay.
Yep. And Jim, I guess Bill, both, as we're talking about that, we probably could add a pretty simple package on here. So this is your development package, but if you want some assistance uploading your first course yourself, then we could add in another product that might be somewhere around $1,000, and we're gonna set aside time to help fine-tune your PowerPoint slide deck or give you coaching steps on the narration process or X, Y, or Z different items that we could cover during that time. Because the barrier to entry, like you pointed out, Bill, is getting that first course created. And so we'd be able to dedicate some people to that if we can get a price point that would make sense for them.
Okay. Good. All right.
So that's really kind of the system. And there's more features that we could dig into, but this is really, we've gone over everything that the coach would need to be aware of, what you need to be aware of to sell to the coach. If you would like, I'm more than happy to sit in on any of your initial presentations with coaches and just run the demo, and you can do all the talking or do whatever you'd like. I'm here to support you because you've got the contacts and you know the people, and then I have the knowledge of the system. So however I can help you, Bill, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get working on that pretty quickly. I'll figure out the numbers. We had given a lot of thought to these fees and things before. That's still probably in the ballpark of where we should be able to be. I think the course individual courses themselves, when I look at things like $495, that I saw that number as a four module course over 4 weeks as something that they would do. That would give them a month. That would be including the follow up coaching availability. It's a little less than that if it's just self study without that. But for the most part, coaches are gonna want it to be a little bit on the higher end so they can get that and they can sell ongoing coaching follow up on the backside after that. So okay, all right, got that. I don't think I have any other questions. This just kind of brushed me up a little bit, made it back pretty clear to me. So let me do that. Let's talk in a couple of days, maybe beginning of next week. I did, as I said, when I said somebody asked a question, that's why I was looking. I've talked to a couple of people. I have two new independent coaches coming on board to work with me in that national men's ministry that I run. One of the things they budgeted for was 2 contract coaches. I get to pick who they are. They pay them. But one of the things that I put in the budget for that was for them to have modules like this as part of their leadership content. So each one of them would have to have their own
Awesome.
their own site. I can get pretty creative sometimes when they were able to fund them getting paid to do coaching. They'd be getting paid pretty much a base monthly contracted fee to deliver the things that need to be done for that ministry. But we want guys that are more full-time coaches. So I went out and I'm looking at several people, but I'm going to pick 2 that'll be they'll get paid kind of a regular monthly fee for that, but then they'll be able to make money by doing other coaching to other individuals. So somebody that could really have kind of a full-time business, and they'd be almost getting their fixed monthly amount covered by that contract, and then we'll buy the package. We'll actually buy the package. Couldn't remember what that was. I told them I thought it was around 6,000, so I was pretty close for that. But we're not done with the meetings for that. But that budget, that's for the new budget that goes in first of the year. But I'll have those guys brought on board before 1st of December because they're getting their training and orientation. So, and their role is to go out and build about 6 more to develop about 6 more coaches for the following year.
Awesome.
So some of those packages will come out of that. But anyway, so that's kind of, I had that in mind a little bit when we were talking before. We just weren't far enough along for that to really launch. But now it's ready, and actually they have the funding even in place for that to happen. So that might be when we're looking at some good practice people that getting those first couple of coaches. I have 2 things pretty much already in mind.
Great. I don't mean to cut you off, but we've got about a minute left here on this meeting before it cuts out.
Okay.
And so I appreciate your time. I'll send over this recording, and I'll send you over a meeting invite for early next week.
Sounds good. I'll be ready for that, and I'll look forward to the recording. I'll go through it again to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Jim,
guys.
good to hear from you, Manya. Glad to meet you.
Me too.
All right. Take care.
Have a nice
Bye,
day.
Bill.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.